PebblePost is a programmatic direct mail solution that puts your brand in the home where purchase decisions are made. Daniel, take it away.
And Sean, thank you for the introduction. Really appreciate that. And as Sean mentioned, my name is Daniel Hoffman. I've actually been at PebblePost for just about 5 years. And during my time at PebblePost, I've been primarily focused on building new relationships with performance marketers who are really looking to test into direct mail for the first time, or really looking to modernize their current direct mail efforts really at scale. And what we've done at PebblePost is we've invented a new channel that we've coined programmatic direct mail. And what we're doing is really bridging the gap between the direct mail world and that of the digital world. And as a lot of marketers happen to know, direct mail can be a very effective way to communicate with consumers. It's a great way to be able to provide a lasting impression. And it's a great way to be able to hit people at home, where ultimately a lot of decisions and actual intent does happen, and consultation, I should say as well. But where direct mail is actually lacking really as a channel is at times with its efficiencies or inefficiencies. And executing a direct mail campaign, for the most part, can be an extremely laborious process. It requires a lot of resources for marketers and brands. It can be very capital intensive. It could also take several months to ultimately see actionable results. And on top of that, most companies are really just not utilizing data to its full potential when it comes to being able to execute any kind of direct mail campaigns. And this is actually where digital has prevailed, I would say, over the last couple of decades. The most powerful digital media channels out there, they're actually the best direct response, I would say, drivers out there right now. And part of the reason is because that they have amazing shopper behavioral intent signals. They are very timely in being able to communicate with people. And when they're looking at their data holistically, they're able to drive quick action and very effective ROI at that. With this all said, digital channels have experienced quite a bit of ad fatigue recently. People are definitely being oversaturated to a certain degree. And when it comes to actual content on social or digital, it can be somewhat short-lived at times, and it could have very quick impact at that. And this is where we really sought out to bridge that gap. We wanted to make sure that we are connecting the best of these both worlds by providing consumers something that's very relevant, very respectful, and hitting somebody with something very timely at the actual home itself. And I'm going to wait for this slide to load because there are a couple elements to it. But at PebblePost, we are very much a data-driven company. We've built a platform based on a proprietary data asset that we call our PebblePost Graph. That's actually diagrammed on this chart here. And our PebblePost Graph actually sits at the heart of our platform. It's really at the nucleus, we like to call it. And it links anonymous consumers to unique households, and it connects billions of intent and transactional signals every single day. So we've actually scaled our own graph over the last 6 years to actually have 100% coverage of the US. And when we're talking about the US, we're connecting these anonymous users actually directly to US households to help make sure that we could actually be able to effectively hit these people at home. We're also collecting billions of intent signals within the graph. So it's not just an ID graph, it's also an intent graph. And these intent signals are playing a huge role in allowing us to observe and really be able to create propensity models. And the propensity models that we're creating as a company are built on machine learning. And these models are being refreshed on a daily basis because it is data that is being run in-house as well. And this really encompasses kind of our ethos as a company. We're a very data-driven company. We've also invested a ton into data science. And we want to make sure with these models, we are focused on sending mail specifically to consumers that actually have a high propensity to convert at that. And the other thing that the graph has really enabled us to do is to really build out a sophisticated integrated workflow where we are able to take on really all the printing and logistics of a campaign at that. So we are the ones that are finding the addresses, we're scoring users, we're APIing our files to our printing network, and all this is actually being done on a daily basis. And from there, we're actually printing on demand every single day. So we're never actually sitting on inventory or any kind of excess at that either. And we're getting it home about 2 to 3 days after these intent signals that we are picking up. And then to wrap it all up, we're able to track this all back to ROI in real time. So very much like our brands are used to tracking their digital channels, they could track that in a very similar capacity with direct mail now through us. And really this last bullet really highlights that we are very much a performance channel. We are a direct response channel. Our goal as a company is to be able to drive better performance by actually sending out less mail at the end of the day. So if we're able to hit the right consumer with the right piece of mail at the right time, hopefully the ROI is going to be there with having to do less at the end. And as I flip to really the next slide here, this highlights really the products and solutions that sit under this proprietary graph that I mentioned on the previous slide. So our graph helps to power these 3 products, and all 3 products hit all stages really of the consumer life cycle. And going from left to right on the screen, our retargeting solution is identifying on-site non-converters. So consumers that are actually not making a purchase. Every single day, we're actually able to delineate those customers from prospects. We're able to model out those audiences so that we're actually stack ranking them and scoring them based on that propensity model. And then we're sending that mail on demand every day, so it's arriving in home in a very quick, timely fashion. Moving over to this lookalikes product in the middle, this really highlights our top of funnel product, and it helps fill a lot of people that might not be well aware of the brand that we are talking to. And what we're doing with our lookalikes product are running actually 2 different sets of models here. So we have both an online and offline model that helps us to score audiences extremely effectively. And just to highlight our offline model first, the offline model is taking into account a lot of demographic and psychographic data points, which is very, very normal if you're sitting in the digital world or even the direct mail world. None of this would be atypical. You could easily buy a list from a DMP, or maybe even by looking at your CRM to actually analyze psychographic and demographic kind of data points. Where we actually really have an edge in performance and differ is the online component. So from an online perspective, we are taking that data that we are leveraging from the graph on a daily basis, and we're looking at shopper behavior and actual propensity to convert around other brands, and actually understanding brand affinity and shopper affinity, and capitalizing on the timeliness factor of that to be able to send people a piece of mail that might not have heard about your brand before. And then just moving over to that graph mail piece, this last section here, our graph mail solution is our most versatile product that we actually do have, where we are actually leveraging a lot of the data that brands will give us to help actually build out sophisticated lists. So this could be as simple as helping to run CRM-oriented campaigns. It could be as complex as them looking at data sources from the outside that they're purchasing and helping to upload those to actually drive performance from that. We could be doing email appends for lead capturing, et cetera. There's a lot of options that GraphMail does fulfill, and it definitely could capture all the way from the top, mid to lower part of the funnel of a consumer life cycle. And you're probably asking, how does this all kind of relate to holiday? So this is obviously a big time of year for us. We partner with a lot of brands who are capitalizing very much on our flexible pricing model and very much on the high traffic demand to their digital storefronts during these peak time periods. And what they're utilizing us for is to be able to drive very effective performance, really at high scale during these time periods, and at a cost that isn't necessarily skyrocketing compared to other channels that they might be accustomed to during the holiday kind of frenzy, for lack of better terms. And the other item here, so kind of on the left side, the visuals here really kind of lay out how hands-on we'd like to be. So as a team, we are extremely hands-on in being able to craft very agile plans with our brand. And the visual kind of shows some blueprints that have really worked well based on our product stacks in the last page when incorporating these into different time periods throughout the year. But we definitely want to make sure we're developing solutions that are going to fulfill the needs of our brands, whether that's hitting people a couple weeks before Black Friday, or making sure that we are very much in tune with getting in home and into the mail stream between Cyber Monday and shipping cutoff dates, for example. And with that, we like to get very custom, always open the conversations. If you want to connect directly with Sean and Tom, or my email address is here as well. Happy to entertain that, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, Daniel. And while we do some Q&A, please take a few seconds to answer this simple yes or no question. Daniel, thank you for that. We have several questions here, but I'll just hit on a few. How does PebblePost track ROI and success? Or I should say, how does PebblePost's clients track ROI and success?
Yeah, great question. So we've built a solution on our side called Transaction Match, and it's a process where we're just doing actually an address-to-address match, but we've automated the process to normalize addresses so that we could take in transactional data, match it up against our send data, and it gives us a holistic look at being able to really check omni-channel kind of conversions at that. So we have a full breadth of actual performance. And on top of that, we're able to get nimble in the sense of being able to look at incrementality and put proper holdout groups in and measure in a very consistent format as well.
Interesting. So that's a nice sort of alternative to, the lack of cookies and IDFA challenges. It's true incrementality. Okay, given the holidays and everyone's strapped for resources, what does setup and testing look like? Is this something that requires a lot of hands from the clients, or is this sort of an easier testing scenario?
Yeah, once we get kind of set up and on our three main parts of implementation, it's very simplistic. So we do ask JavaScript to be on site so we can start capturing that intent. We're ingesting customer files, so our segmentation is very clean. And then we do ask for creative, which we send over templates and provide guidance, and it's very quick to get up. And in regards to being able to test, we are very much a test and learn platform. We like to be very hands-on, I would say, early in the process to set it up more or less as a proof of concept kind of test and really show the ability to scale after that. And holiday is always a great time to test into really seeing our capability stack at that.
Excellent. And then in your presentation, you mentioned flexible pricing as one of the sort of benefits for brands during the holidays. How is PebblePost priced?
Great question. So our pricing is completely all-inclusive. So we try to be very, very simplistic at that, where it is down to a cost per piece. So very similar to that of digital. And we try to make sure that we are really addressing our pricing to make sure it is very much backing into a clean ROI for our brands. And at that, we want to make it very easy for brands to be able to plug in with us, where we're not asking for upfront commitments necessarily like you would in traditional direct mail. At the end of the day, our business model has very much been built off of a cash flow positive, in the sense that the brands that we're working with are actually investing returns that they are getting from us. So we try to make it very much almost like a digital model in the way that we actually priced out the business.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Appreciate it.